Hey, what's up mortals? It's the Joey Bosco Show here, and before we get into today's video, there's something I'd like to say. I'd like to let you all know that we have a merch store. Some of the items in it are only available for a limited amount of time, so if you're interested, go into the description and check it out. Each purchase helps us make more content. Now, with that out of the way, let's get into the video. Welcome to the new video on What If series, which you can tell from the title is called What If All Might was Deku's dad. You could probably tell what this What If is all about from that alone, so there won't be much to explain. Basically, we'll be exploring the idea of All Might being Deku's real, completely related father, and see how it would change the story of My Hero Academia. Now, to set the story off, we need to make it so All Might meets Inko, aka Deku's mom, which is easy to do. Not long after All Might, or Toshinori as we'll be referring to him as for now, gets into UA, he ends up bumping into a young lady about his age while on the way home from school. While at the train station, he gets distracted and walks into a girl, causing her to drop everything that she was holding onto the ground. Toshinori, completely embarrassed, apologizes multiple times and begins to pick up everything off of the floor when the girl says not to worry about it, and begins to help pick up things using her quirk to levitate a few of the small items into her hand. Toshinori notices and remarks, "That's quite an interesting quirk you have. The ability to move objects like that is very useful." The girl replies, "Not really. I can only levitate small objects. It's kind of worthless for anything other than grabbing the remote without getting out." Toshinori then says, "Hey, I know a few people who'd love to be able to do that, including me." The girl and Toshinori share a laugh, and then he introduces himself, with the girl then introducing herself. "It's nice to meet you, Toshinori. I'm Inko." The two of them begin to talk while waiting for their trains and eventually go their separate ways, but not before exchanging phone numbers. After that, Toshinori and Inko become close friends and even develop slight feelings for each other, but besides that, nothing much changed for Toshinori's school life and education to become a pro hero. That is, until Toshinori's master, Nana Shimara, is killed by All For One. Toshinori, just like in the canon, is devastated by it, and becomes more determined to defeat All For One, but Inko notices that something's wrong, and visits Toshinori to check up on him. During the visit, Toshinori decides to confide to Inko, telling her how someone who was like family to him had been killed by a villain, being sure to leave out any specifics and detail about what really happened in the secret of One For All. After Toshinori finishes telling Inko this, he begins to cry, but Inko runs up and hugs him tight and says, "I'm so sorry you lost someone close to you, Toshinori. I can't imagine how much pain you're feeling right now, but I'm here for you." Toshinori then thanks Inko for being so kind, and not too long after that, Inko and Toshinori begin dating. Though, Toshinori does everything he can to keep it a secret, fearing that maybe All For One would target her to get to him. Then, near the end of Toshinori's final year at UA, Gran Torino finds out about Toshinori's relationship with Inko and scolds him harshly, telling him how he was putting her at risk and needs to cut things off, but Toshinori refuses to do so, and they begin to argue. Eventually, Gran Torino relents and says,
"Okay, fine. If you won't break things off, then you should at least tell her what she's getting into by staying with you, so she knows the risks. In other words, tell her the truth about One For All and All For One. That is, if you trust her."
Toshinori nods his head and agrees to tell Inko the truth. He then leaves and contacts Inko to meet up somewhere private, and when they do, Toshinori proceeds to tell Inko the full truth about his power, his master, and an awful villain named All For One, which shocks and confuses her. Toshinori then tells Inko that he understands if she's not comfortable being with him anymore, and if she wants, he'll leave her alone. But Inko just hugs Toshinori and says, "I don't care about any of that. I love you and I'll be with you no matter what." The two of them embrace each other and promise to stay together no matter what. A promise that will be broken. After Toshinori leaves UA, he begins to travel abroad in the US to continue his studies and to learn more about being a pro. During this time, Inko and Toshinori have a long-distance relationship and continue to keep in touch. But other than that, nothing else changes until All Might makes his debut as a new pro hero and returns to Japan slightly sooner than originally to see Inko again. All Might uses his disguises to meet with Inko in secret and to be with her when he wasn't doing hero work, all in an attempt to keep All For One from discovering their relationship, and they decided not to get married until the villain was no longer a threat. Then a few years later, Inko discovers that she's pregnant with All Might's child. Once All Might found out, he decided that in order to keep his unborn child and the woman he loved safe from any harm, he would need to leave and stay out of their lives. After a difficult conversation, they both agreed that it would be the best thing to do, and with the help of an old friend of Inko's, a man named Hisashi Midoriya, who will pose as Inko's husband and father of her child. Before All Might left, he promised Inko that he'll always make sure that her and his child would be taken care of, and promised to come back once All for One was defeated. Then gave her and Hisashi special contact information so that he'll at least know how his child is doing and so he can know if anything is going on, or if they need help. And with that, All Might leaves to continue his fight against All for One. About 9 months later, Izuku Midoriya is born, and a day later, Inko sends pictures to multiple family members of Izuku, saying how she has a beautiful child now thanks to his incredible father, and sends it to All Might as well. Seeing the pictures, he gets a feeling of both joy and sadness, wishing he could be there right now, but knows he has to defeat All for One now more than ever, not just because he's a hero, but also to make a better world for his son to grow up in. As time moves on, Izuku grows up just like in canon, and admires All Might just as much, which makes Inko even happier than originally, because he's looking up to his father. Inko also continues to keep All Might up to date on Izuku, with vague messages, acting like old friends, just keeping in touch. Everything is going fine until a visit to the doctors reveals that Izuku appears to be quirkless, which is still devastating to Izuku, though it hurts Inko slightly more to tell her son that he can't be a hero. A few days later, Inko tells All Might about how Izuku will never develop a quirk, and is saddened by the news, knowing how awful his son must feel. More years pass and Izuku's life is pretty much the same as in canon. The man he believes is his father is working abroad, and he doesn't really remember him much, and he is of course bullied by Bakugo and the others for being quirkless. But then the day that All Might and All for One fight arrives, which ends with All Might still sustaining severe injuries, which limits how long he can work as a pro. But he believes that he killed All for One, and while in the hospital, he decides to contact Inko. However, before he can, he has a falling out with Sir Night-Eye, where the prediction of All Might's brutal death is revealed. However, it is different. When All Might gets a chance, he contacts Inko to tell her that he defeated All for One, but he wouldn't be coming home. Inko then asks, "What? But why? If All for One is gone, then why can't you finally be a part of your son's life? Why can't we be together again?" All Might replies, "Because I've been out of our son's life ever since he was born. I don't feel I have the right to even call myself his father, and besides, if I did, then it would be for only a short while." All Might then explains how he'll die an awful death, leaving out many details about it. All Might then states, "I don't want to show up and tell our son that I'm his father, just for me to die and cause him grief. It wouldn't be right. He would be happier if he never knew the truth, and you'd be better off not seeing it." Inko begins to sputter, not understanding why he has to stay away, and why it seems like he doesn't care about her or his son, and doesn't want anything to do with them. All Might replies, "I do care, I just can't be with you. I know you don't understand, but just trust me, this is for the best." Inko sternly responds, "Okay, fine, if that's how you feel, then I won't push it. Apparently you never wanted to have a child, and be a father, or a husband, at least not with me. I guess that was some little thing for fun, huh?" Inko then hangs up and cries, feeling incredibly alone. All Might thinks about calling her back, and knows it would just make things worse, and decides to leave it where it is, and to continue being the symbol of peace for as long as he can, all while beginning the search for a successor. More years pass, and things with Izuku are normal. Nothing in his life changes until one day when he's at school. His teacher mentions that Bakugo and him are both trying to go for UA, which causes everyone in the classroom to make fun of him, and causes Bakugo to yell, "Seriously, Deku? You think a weak little quirkless nerd like you can make it into UA or become a hero? Don't make me laugh." Bakugo then uses a small explosion to knock over Izuku's desk. The teacher quickly scolds Bakugo for doing that, and calms the rest of the class down. After school, before Izuku leaves, Bakugo corners him and starts tormenting him like he did originally, and finishes by burning Izuku's notebook and throws it out the window while saying, "You should just jump off the roof, that's all you're good for. But hell, you'd probably screw that up too." After that, Izuku finds the burnt notebook and takes a shortcut home, feeling depressed and thinking about giving up. But he then thinks of All Might and says to himself, "No, All Might wouldn't give up, which means I shouldn't either. I will be a hero, just like him, and save people with a smile on my face." He then promises to himself that he'll never give up on his dream, and he will be a pro hero, just like All Might, even without a quirk. Then on his way home from school, he passes under a bridge and notices an open manhole, when suddenly a massive amount of sludge jumps out, grabbing onto Izuku and begins to suffocate him. The villain then says,
"Stop struggling! Just give in, and this'll be so much less painful. But I don't care either way. Your body's mine now."
Izuku continues to struggle, fearing that this is how he'll die, and begins to fall unconscious, but before he does, he sees a large silhouette appear and he hears a voice yell,
"I am here!"
but passes out right before the villain is knocked out by a powerful shockwave from a punch. The man who saved Izuku is none other than his own father, All Might himself. All Might carries Izuku and puts him gently on the ground, and notices that he seems familiar. All Might decides to look through Izuku's notebook and reads the name on it, and realizes that he just saved his son's life. All Might thinks about leaving, but doesn't, despite him not having much time left in his buff form. He chooses to sit down and wait for Izuku to wake up so he can finally meet and speak to his son for the first time ever. Luckily, All Might won't have to wait very long to do so. Now, before we get back into the story, I would like to say that we've got a second channel called Anime Deep Dive. Anime Deep Dive is a channel based on a variety of anime lore. If you're interested in content like this, make sure you click on the icon in the top right corner or check the description below for a link to the channel. Now, with that out of the way, let's get back into the story. Izuku wakes up dazed and confused, trying to remember what happened when he sees All Might and begins to fanboy out while also thanking him for saving his life. All Might then says,
"Ha ha! No thanks necessary, young man. After all, it's what heroes do."
Izuku replies, "Oh, so cool. Oh yeah, All Might, can you please sign my notebook? I'm a huge fan and I'd really appreciate it if you did." All Might says,
"Sure,"
and takes the notebook and pen.
"What's your name, young man?"
Izuku replies, "I'm Izuku Midoriya." All Might signs Izuku's notebook and hands it back to him, saying,
"Young Midori, it is a pleasure to meet you, and I'm happy you look up to me. You seem very bright. I can tell from your notebook that you're quite smart, and think highly of heroes. Your parents must be very proud of you."
Before All Might could continue talking to Izuku, he felt that he was about to reach his limit, and quickly turns around and says farewell to Izuku, then jumps away. As All Might is traveling through the air, he notices that something doesn't feel quite right when he looks down. He notices Izuku latching onto his leg and begins to panic, but doesn't try to push him off, knowing that he'll fall. So, All Might heads to a nearby roof to land. After landing, All Might gives a much harsher lecture to Izuku for doing it. All Might:
"What were you thinking? Doing something like that was stupid. You could have died. Explain yourself, young man."
Izuku, taken aback by this, apologizes and begins to tell All Might how he wants to be a hero, and asks him if he can ever be one without a quirk. During this, All Might reverts to his weak form, which shocks Izuku, and All Might begins to explain his injury and his limitation to do hero work. Then, with a heavy heart, All Might says to Izuku, "Young Midori, you clearly have a good heart, but unfortunately, it is impossible to be a hero without a quirk. It's too dangerous for most people to be pros, but for someone without a quirk, it's a death sentence." This shatters Izuku and breaks his heart. All Might is about to say something else, but before he can, him and Izuku hear a massive explosion nearby, and they both run off of the roof to see what's happening. After some running, All Might and Izuku come across a large crowd of people watching heroes trying to fight the sludge villain to no avail, and contain a fire as well. After All Might and Izuku push through the crowd and see what's going on, they both feel an immense amount of guilt, and both of them feel helpless to do anything. Izuku and All Might continue to stand there motionless as all the heroes back out, until Izuku sees that it's Bakugo who's being attacked by the sludge villain, and instantly runs out to save him. And as Izuku does this, he begins to feel small bursts of energy coursing through his body, increasing his speed, causing him to run faster than normal, and when he throws his bag at the sludge villain, it has more power behind it, but not by any serious amount, and starts trying to get Bakugo out of the sludge, which he's able to do a little better, but it still won't work. As All Might stands there, watching his son trying to do something that the pros were scared to do, He feels guilt for not acting the same and powers up to his buff form and jumps in to defeat the villain with a punch so strong that it changes the weather. After the villain is captured, All Might leaves as fast as he can before he goes back to his weak form, and while Bakugo gets praise from some of the pros, Izuku gets scolded for acting so recklessly. Then, when a paramedic asks Izuku if he's okay, he mentions that he felt a strange feeling building up in his body, making him run faster and have more strength. But the paramedic replies, "Oh, that was probably just your nerves or adrenaline going crazy. I'm sure it's nothing to worry about, but let your parents know about it so they can take you to the doctors if needed." Izuku is then given permission to leave and heads back home. On his way home, Izuku is stopped by Bakugo, who says,
Listen here, you damn nerd. I don't need your help. Got it? I was just fine without you getting in my way.
Bakugo then walks away and Izuku walks in the other direction. He gets stopped by All Might in his weak form. Before Izuku can say anything, All Might says,
Izuku, I wanted to thank you for running in to save your friend. Seeing you do that inspired me to go beyond my limits and help when I was scared to do so.
Izuku replies,
No, you really shouldn't thank me. I did something irresponsible by rushing in like that. I couldn't do anything because I'm quirkless. I really can't be a hero and save people without one.
All Might responds,
No, I was wrong. You inspired me to do more than I thought I could, and that's something a hero can do.
All Might continues,
Not only that, but one thing that many heroes have in common is that their bodies move automatically to save those in need. Young Midoriya, I'm sorry for being so weak and foolish. I truly believe that you too can become a great hero, just like me.
Izuku falls to the ground crying from pure joy of hearing his idol say that he could be a hero. All Might then says,
Izuku, there are many truths you should know, and I will tell you them soon. But first, I want you to know that I have chosen you to be my successor, and to be the one to inherit my power. I want to give you my quirk.
Izuku, confused, looks up teary-eyed with a dumbfounded expression and replies,
Oh, wait. What the hell are you talking about?
Alright, thank you all for watching the video to the end. Now, there is a few more things that I'd like to go over before the video ends. On behalf of We the Celestials, I'd like to thank the writer for this video, as well as the editor for this video. Their details will be in the description. If you're a voice actor, editor, or writer, or you're interested in becoming one of those, go to the Discord that's in the description of this video and head up the head of one of those areas. We're always looking for members to join us. That's it from us for today's video, so thank you all for watching, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you're interested, and hit that like button if you liked the video. Until next time, peace out, mortals. Have an amazing day.
Eyes in the sky, gazing far into the night. I raise my hand to the fire, but it's no use, 'cause you can't stop it from shining through. It's true, baby, let the